Yo, welcome to the stream, everyone, again. At least not that many are yet in, but if you're in, share it in the chat and let me know if the sound is good, if the stream is good, and then we can get into the prize action. Welcome, everyone. Sound is stop. Perfect. Then, I'm just gonna start. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask them in the chat. It is now in Europe 3 o'clock, but since the US did daylight saving or whatever, we now have the New York Open and the other times an hour earlier. I believe that's for 2 weeks, and then Europe also goes into summer time, and then it's the normal time again. So now we have 2 weeks that the New York Open is at like a half an hour in by now, which just something to keep in mind. Let me first quickly go over BTC, and then let me show you the clean chart. Ignore the VWAPs for now. Then we, of course, this is also can be done. We had this range, low, high, and then last week we had that aggressive move out of the range, nasty deviation, and then just a slow pullback down. Not really giving any high probability short setups in this zone, except for some scalps that we had the opportunity to. First one was at Model 1, which marked the top, so the exhaustion in the Model 1, and then we had some redistributions on the very local time frame in these zones. Here one as well, Model 1, but super low time frame, so you really had to be on like the sub 5 minute to catch those. And then eventually we broke our internal bullish structure back to bearish right here, and then we dumped. Also here it was not really a good shorting opportunity because we had signs of potential accumulation, but we never broke structure and we left some liquidity behind. So also here we broke lower, back in the value area high of the range, which is this blue line, and we have while breaking down we left several supply zones. So let's see, we have on the which time frame, on the 8 hour a clear supply, and then on the lower time frames also on the 4 hour we have it, and then 3 hour, and then on the, I believe on the 1 hour or the 30, yeah, so here 45-minute block here. So this zone right here is for me super important, and because we, like last week I was doubting like this is a potential deviation, but our structure from the low up was basically this, and also internally we had this bullish structure, and that one can technically still continue. However, since we moved back in our value area high, so we made this move back in our value, the chances that this was the high and that we make a lower high for a lower low have increased quite a bit. So I'm still open for the potential scenario that we form that this was just the higher low for a higher high. However, for that I want to have a super clean accumulation somewhere here, which means maybe taking out supply here, then coming back for that low and then accumulating here. If we form like a super clean accumulation like this, where we then have our low, maybe today or tomorrow take out that low, so that we still potentially have a strong weekly pivot, and then form our third tap here, then I will say I still expect that third drive to be higher up, and we then have the 1, 2, 3 into there, and then get it full on rotation. But for now, as this looks, not really clean accumulation or anything, I think chances are pretty high that we reject from here. So I'm interested in shorts from this level, which is the first supply PY, which also aligns with the value area high. So logically, the moment you accept back in your value area high, you go to value area low, which happened here. And then you basically often just rotate from value area high to value area low. So this is a super clean PY to look for shorts. And then the next major short PY is the supply right here, which is protecting the range high. So in case this was our, let's say our 1, this is the 2 in the bearish PO3 idea, then this is the lower high for the lower low. So here I'm looking for shorts, here is for looking for shorts, and then here looking for longs. And just see the reactions. But I don't really have a super convinced bias to either side, so I'm just looking for local shorts here and local longs lower. Thanks for tuning in, Michael, and good luck at your job. So if we zoom in a bit more, then price during the weekend started. So this was Friday, and then we just the whole weekend, which I said it's not worth really trading for me at least. We just rotated lower and lower, and then yesterday we made this move into this last demand POI, and from here price broke, basically shut up again, and we broke internal structure. Let's see, basically you can say you have this, and then this is your last significant high before breaking lower. So let's make this black. You can say that you from left to right broke your hourly structure, and what is it valid? Yeah, also 4 hour back to bullish. But in these environments, you have to ask yourself, is this then a valid 4 hour breaker structure, or are we in a range right here? So in that case, for me, the range is now more important than an internal 4 hour breaker structure, because we are literally stuck in the value area until we are not. And then this morning we had the same again, where we had our low at, see, at hour 0. Yeah. So with our low at hour 0, and then we moved up higher in the London session. So at that point, you kind of had like a 1, 2, 3, where you could say this is potentially a exhaustion in the form of 3 drive. But I was not interested in shorts, because we had the weak pivot again at hour 9, which is super unlikely to put in a pivot for the day. And we have last week also seen several times that our low was the London low, so the other way around, and that we knew, okay, it's low probability to start longing now and use that London low as our invalidation, because it's super likely that we will take out that low later during the New York session. So here we, or at least I didn't take a short, and I was doubting to go into a long, which I did not do because of the RR, where was it? I marked out this demand right here, which just was front run, but we had 5-minute bearish internal structure, which was basically like this lower high, lower low. So that was broken back to bullish on this local move. And then I was doubting, like, should I go long here? Targeting to take out that at least that weak daily pivot. And my stop, yeah, you could technically, because you have a breaker structure, use that low, but it was too risky for me. So I said I want to have this demand protecting my position. And then I looked at the RR. And then, yeah, in hindsight, you could say maybe it's worth it. But for me, I only want to take like a trade if it's super clean and super obvious. And this was, if you look at it now, you think, oh, that's pretty obvious. But in my opinion, it was 50-50. It could also just do this. And then I was in a position, I was like, nah, it's not that bad, not that good, not obvious. So I'm just still flat and waiting for the supply above to be hit. Or now to see this demand fill. So we have 3 clean demand POIs. Let's see if we have created something new. This one was mitigated right there. Then, yeah, more or less this is still a demand. But that got not mitigated. Looks more like inducement, so still a valid block to look at. But more locally, this is the local demand zone, which is also above our range POC. Here we broke structure back to bullish from left to right. So if bulls are strong, they want also to maintain this internal uptrend, which is higher high, higher low, higher high. Then technically you want to respect this demand and form your higher low for a higher high. So if you fail to bounce from this level, that will be this first sign of weakness. And we also took out basically the start of this whole liquidity curve. And above here you have that fair value gaps. So we took out quite important liquidity right here. However, not enough for me to enter any shorts yet, because I want this supply to be hit with the value area high, and I want structure. And if I just look now at, then I really need to start searching for structure on the like 2 minute. It's, yeah, you can say it's valid, but if you really have to look for structure, then in my opinion, it's not, that's not what you want to do. You want to see clear structure. And for me, that structure right now is basically this low, and if you go to the 5 minute, then it's here. So until we lose this, I'm not touching any shorts, waiting for this level right here. Welcome, Slatan. Will, good to see you as well. Then for now, I want to quickly explain the stats, because it's been now second week that I have the Discord and that I'm sharing my ideas, but also the statistics. So I can imagine that for quite a few people, the statistics are still new. But basically, the statistics tell me for the week what is likely to be the weekly high or low, and for each day, how likely is it that a certain low or high will hold. So currently it's Monday, so right now the weekly low is this low right here, and the weekly high is literally the high we just made. But because it's both on Monday, it doesn't tell me too much yet. But we can have a look at it, because these are the time statistics for the day. So here we can also see like hour 0 prints like 27% of the daily lows or highs will be printed on literally the first hour. So if you have a high or low like we have today printed at hour 0, then like 1 out of the 4 times that is already your daily low. So that's pretty significant. And if you look at the first and second hour, then it's 13 and 8. And then like then it becomes much less. But if you look at it, this is, if you combine it, you 26, 30, 40, almost a 50% chance to form your daily low in the first few hours of Asia. So in case that you have that, then you know, okay, pretty strong chance that the low will hold and that we will have a bullish day, which we have today, because we are making new highs, strong probability that the low will hold. So then I know, be careful with with shorts, because trend is up, statistics are bullish, we have good daily low and a weak, or at least first we had a weak high at London. Right now we are in New York, which has the potential to reverse. However, if you have a low at Asia hours and locally you're trending up, then the chance that London will print the high is super low. So therefore, if I want to go against the trend, then I need to at least wait till New York, because New York has the power to create stronger hours for an high and then reverse price. So here you can see for today, for example, low P1 flip risk, 15% of the days took out the daily low. So that's very low. And then unlikely that P2 is in 88% of the days for my new P2 after 1345. So currently our high is this one. And then based on time statistics, we can see 88% of the days for my new P2. So that's why I'm also not really interested in shorts till we see that we make new highs, and then you will see that this will also change. So you can do that on the daily for the time and distance statistics. So let's see what this distance is telling me. Low P1 flip risk. 8% of the days took out the daily low. So today we made a move from this low to this high. The chance that we will reverse and take out the daily low is under 8%. So that's really low. And P2 is likely to hold 26% of the days moved further than 5.3%. So today we made a move from this low to this high, and only 27% of the days make a bigger move than that. So based on timing, it's likely that we make a new high, but based on distance statistics, we already made quite a big move. So we can make new highs, but it's unlikely that, for example, let's say you want to go long and you're long here, it's unlikely to make twice the move we already did. There is some more upside, of course, but it becomes less and less because we already are in the extreme quarter of distances you normally see. So this tells me for the daily already some context, like where do I expect price to go and what do I expect price to do? Make new highs, not stuff like that. And basically on the daily, it's the same as on the weekly. So on the daily, it's like the first few hours are super strong. But if you look at the weekly, then the first 2 days are super strong. So if you look at the weekly stats, then 65% of the weekly highs or lows will be printed on Monday. So the first day of the week, in 65% of the days, that's also your daily or your weekly high or low, which is already telling you quite a lot. And then Tuesday is 20%. So if you combine them, on Monday and Tuesday, 85% of the weekly highs or lows will be formed. And that's why Monday and Tuesday are so important, because like 85% literally, that's super high number. So after Tuesday, you already know with the 85% certainty, basically, that your weekly high or low is in. So on Monday, I'm not really too hesitant to trade, but I always monitor like, okay, this is the low, this is the high. What do I expect for price to do? Do I have a bullish bias or a bearish bias? And right now we are moving higher, so the daily is bullish, but seeing where we come from, I think chances increase that we will form a lower high for a lower low. Combining that with the fact that it's Monday, so very likely to put in the weekly high or low, or it can happen tomorrow. Then since we are now moving up, I'm expecting potentially price to maybe show some exhaustion into this supply. And then if we form that high today or tomorrow, then there's a pretty high chance that this is the weekly high, and that from there we will have a bearish continuation the rest of the week. So what happens is pretty important today and tomorrow. And then on the downside, I always ask myself, like, what happened? So we came into this extreme demand. There we bounced from. But what kind of lows did we have? Weekend Sunday lows being the low, so that's never a really good sign. It means that we have a gap as well. And is this like a super clean accumulation or something? To me, it's not. You see, like, kind of keep sweeping the lows, and then eventually this is kind of like a deviation and a move back in the range, showing that sellers got exhausted eventually. But it's not really showing me a lot of strength or clear market maker involvement. So for now, I think chances could be that we have a deeper mitigation of this zone and then reject from here or from here, and that will be our weekly high. Right now, I'm not 100% sure this will be our weekly low. So just playing structure and seeing what happens if we pull back or what happens here. However, before I touch shorts, I always want structure on my hand. And right now, I don't see that. So then that means we at least need to break below here, preferably below here. Or what is most often the case is that I just wait for more price action. For example, move back here and then later today get like that tree drive kind of move, where then this is your high, tap 1, tap 2, tap 3. And then if you break your structure from left to right here, this is then the short trigger for me to trade it lower. But for now, it's basically in the middle of nowhere. So not really interested in trading this yet. Then we can do some. So we know that value area low of this, we are now a month in this range or so. Yeah, like since 6th of Feb, this range started. So we are now a month in this range. So our value area high is this line above. We are just above the POC and the value area low is here. So keep in mind that in a range, you always want to play your extremes and not in the middle. And right now we are in the middle. So this is not the place to feel like you need to take trades because, I don't know, because you want to win. This is a low probability zone, so you want really clean triggers here. You want to at least wait for value area high or value area low, but better even is your range extremes, which is your range high and your lower part of here or here. And we can look at have we confluence? Let me erase keep it. Have we confluences from the value area from this high to this low? And then we can see, is there a POC overlapping with supply, validating that supply? So we can look. Okay, so let's erase this one. The POC of this move is here. So that's for the bulls a better sign. That means that price has accumulated here. Does this change anything? Okay, so then there's not really a great confluence, beside the fact that the value area high is here. So more or less the upper part of this first supply is the level to watch, which tells me that I'm gonna pay more attention to this upper part instead of the lower part. So alert, gonna move a little higher. Then I know, okay, there is not a lot of confluence for. I know that from the view up from this high, setting have to be high. That's more or less aligning with this supply. So that's also interesting to watch. Then let's see, if we pull the fib from high to low, then the 0.618 also aligns with that zone, and then the 786 and 72 align with the upper part. So that's also an extra confluence. And yeah, besides that, I think enough reasons to expect that this is a big zone to watch with this one above. So let's alert there, there, and there. Okay. Welcome, pseudo privilege as well. Good to see you guys in the chat again. So yeah, I think my weekly plans are just to see what does price do in this level, and if we pull back, how do we pull back? Aggressive or not? And then just look for what is our weekly low. Is this a stronger weekly low, or are we potentially moving in here and then determine that this is likely our weekly high, which for now I think is more likely, but you always have to see what price does. And we can quickly go to the dominance chart, which is always a great confluence. We're basically still in this range with, could say this is your 1, that 2, and that this was our range low deviation we made last week. And then price accepted back in the range, where we have 4-hour structure, high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, which we kind of, technically it's a breakout structure because we closed above, but this is more like a weak breakout structure. So that's to be taken with a grain of salt. However, on the 1 hour, we broke our structure already here. So the levels to watch right now is this supply, which we rejected from, and then the demand zones right here, which is a 45-minute demand zone, and with some demand a little lower. Let's see. Yeah, so here I will basically say that just this whole block is for me demand. And then lower up, we also have here a super clean 1 hour demand zone protecting the range low. So this is the main key POI, and it aligns with the upper part for Bitcoin. So because price basically deviated below, we can now look for potential here, the higher low for a higher high to go back to the range high. However, for that you need, as always, like structure, which would be this, for example. Lower low, lower high, lower low, and then break. And then that's your confirmation that this is potentially the higher low for a higher high. Right now we have a pretty strong move down. And that often signals that you potentially get this and then retest eventually your range low. And that's your highest probability zone to look for reactions. So here also just marking out the demand. Right there. This is first POI. Then the question is, how do price reach that zone? So do you come into it slowly, break structure? That's what you want to see for reversal. Right now, it's more of a structure or more of a aggressive move down. So then I always want to see it bottom out like this and then expect a reversal. For now, this is too aggressive going down for me to expect a bounce. So that also tells me that, yeah, I'm not going to short BTC until we see the same, but then to the other side. So a clear topping pattern with weakness. Then we can quickly look at MMT, what it is telling me. So basically since the start of last week, we had a super aggressive move up. And since then, like a lot of longs entered. That's now more or less neutral. Open interest also neutral. And shorts pretty low. So the positioning isn't that strong anymore. And the main things I always look at are the daily POCs that are intaken. So that's this lower one and this upper one. And then I see that we also have some poor lows. So those are likely to be revisited at some point. And we have some poor highs. So current high is a poor high. Here we have a poor high. So based on that, this just screams range, which is literally where we are in. So that gives good confluence that we are literally in the range. And then more locally, let's see. Do we have clear volume bubbles? So, for example, how I use that in my advantage is like at highs, do we have a lot of trapped longs or shorts? Like the high of last week was literally filled with super high buys right at the third top. So this was literally the weekly high because a lot of longs got trapped right there. So either I look for longs getting trapped at important highs or shorts getting trapped at important lows. So look, this moved down. Quite a lot of shorts got trapped. And right now, looks like quite a lot of longs are entering. So then I want to see how that looks on the volume profile. Or like the footprint. So here with that move down, you can see 23 million, 29 million, 24, 28. So combining that is like 150 million or so. So that's quite a lot of shorts trapped, or at least negative delta. So that is probably the reason that we are squeezing higher right now to wipe them out. And right now we have some longs, but nothing too special. Also quite some shorts in this, so nothing yet. And also, I don't look at this too much, only if like last week we had that example where literally right here, let's show you at the load time frame. That why? Oh, I'm already way. Okay, let me go to it with the like. I like to use it when you have confluences. So here we had 1, 2, 3, and then this was where those like 100 or 150 million positive delta was literally at the third drive right there. And then also from left to right, you have your break of structure here. So you move up, higher low, higher high, and then locally, and then higher low, higher low, higher high, break structure from left to right. So then you have structure confirmation, a lot of trapped longs right here. And that was a short, which I also took, but cashed out way too early. In hindsight, of course, cashed out right here. But if you look at how it eventually went, then that was literally the top. So for now, I see that quite some longs are entering, but there's no structure at all. So I'm just waiting patiently to see what price does. This is my local long POI potentially, and here 70k is my short POI. Is there something else to see? No. So I think just being patient right now for BTC is the way. USDT, wait for that level, quickly at ETH. ETH is basically the exact same level as I have with BTC, where we literally have this range low, range high. So also here you have your last week, the deviation above. And right now we are chilling at the mid-range. So this is a level where you have to be careful with taking trades because you can expect very choppy price action. And let's make this clean. If we look at the volume profile, then we are literally stuck between value area high and value area low. So super similar as to Bitcoin. Then it took a lot of liquidity with this move. This is probably also where a short got aggressive and they are now getting squeezed. So then the DOIs to watch is this level where we broke structure, left behind supply. Probably, what is it? Yeah, here you see on the 45 it's a block, but on the 30 it's probably the whole block. Yeah, so on the 15-minute it are these several. So this is the breakdown point, fresh supply. And for ETH you see a little bit of more structure right now. Where you basically have this. Then here you SFP the low. So if you SFP the low, the high becomes a weak target level. So price came back for the high, high low, higher high. So this is now showing some sort of exhaustion. And then we can look, do we have good structure? It's sketchy structure. So then I will, like if you make a new high from here, then technically this is your 15-minute mark structure low. So let's mark that out. And then this supply also want an alert here. And basically here, and then just see what happens. If this comes up, break structure, look for lower high, and then that can potentially be a short towards all this liquidity. But also here, well, really clean triggers because we are in the super choppy environment. So chance that you get weird moves here or choppy price action is pretty big. So then I'm just not forcing any trades. Here we have some liquidity, and then we have some supply above. No, don't want to delete it. For Solana, basically the exact same. So also in choppy environment, supply above with the two supply zones, very similar as to Bitcoin, with the first supply POI and then the more important one protecting the range high. And then here just internal stuff. So let's look at gold. Gold was also in a, or is still in a super nice range with the low, the high, and then last week we had longs from the local accumulations right here. And then Friday we ended up with this Model 1 distribution, which started the week with this aggressive move down below the value area low, came back, retested the value area low with this demand. I don't know why my alert did not went off, but that's something TradingView often does with me. Because here we have value area low, and we had a nice local demand chain, where this demand basically got mitigated right there. So if it mitigated, I will always make it gray. And then this demand, which was demand on, look, super clean 5-minute demand, and the value area low. So this is basically demand causing new demand. So this is kind of a demand chain plus the value area low. So super nice zone to look for a reaction, which we are seeing right now. Let me say this is now mitigated. And then the question is, was there structure confirmation? Yes, so we had basically our local structure is this: lower low, lower high, lower low, break from left to right. So this is our bullish break structure. Let's see what is the more important structure. So if we look at this, then we have low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So this can still be the lower high for the lower low. So this is an important high. And then the question is, are we creating demand on the way up? We have local demand. This is basically all liquidity. And then the demand we are creating is like here, local block. And then a little lower here. This one is too high up. That's more in like premium. If you look at it from a kind of the range, I don't want too long here. So then I'm putting an alert here. And an alert at this market structure high. Because if we, let's erase that one, keep this one. No, this is pimping too aggressively for me. It could have been a nice, if you snatched it right at the low. I don't know if there, can also see it like a 1, 2, 3 break, push up. But right now it's just in the middle of the range around the POC and the value area low. So I think this can do this higher low, higher high, and then test that supply again. So alert here, and then also an alert a little higher up. Because if we break this structure, so lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, break this to the upside, you can look for a move into here, then a new structure confirmation, and then it's actually a long higher up. So we are doing that right now. No, that's looking good, good. Shorts trapped, getting squeezed right now. Higher low, higher high. Taking out kind of this liquidity. So yeah, alerts set. Have to see how price comes down into it. But looking pretty good. BTC just going higher and looking very similar to last week, where we on Monday, like last 2 weeks, like last week we also had that super aggressive move on Monday, and then confirmed our weekly structure here, but made a deep pullback end of the week. However, pumping on Monday can be a sign that you create your weekly high early, and that's my main expectation for now still, because we did not make a super clean accumulation here. So I think we are now moving into buy side liquidity to trap longs, and the market maker enter shorts here, and then potentially create our weekly high. So I think for now that's the main plan. And beside that, not really much to do till there's some more development, which is this hitting the VWAP, hitting the supply above. And let's see, yeah, like daily structure is still bullish, and stats also. So today bullish till later in the day, or maybe tomorrow make a new high. So I will just play it level to level, but main expectation is to get it lower high for lower low. Then everything is updated except the last one, hype. Let's quickly look at the hype. Damn it. Literally, why do my alerts not go off? Oh, this is so clean. That's the only thing why I always say I take rest during the weekend, which I encourage everyone to do. But this created like 1, 2, and then this was like a sweep of that low. So this was the valid step 3 into range low demand, model 2 accumulation, and directly going to the like this is flip zone, straight to target. And the entry was, let's see, like this, sell to buy. So this was super clean demand, protecting the range low. This also took liquidity, so that's a good sign. And then price came into it. Let's look. So we had basically lower low, lower high, lower low. So this, at this point, this is your market structure high. However, price later on makes a new low. So then you can count from high to low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And then here you break it. So then this is your, basically your breaker structure. And then here you took liquidity of that low and you created new demand. So technically, let's see, how does it look on the 15-minute structure? Yeah. So wick, 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 move above, close. So then technically this is your long trigger, stop loss right there. And target is the range high for 5.5 R. Yeah, that would have been super clean. But yeah, I only saw it today when we were already trading right here. So then a bit late. Unfortunately that it happened during the weekend, but it's super clean example of a Wyckoff Model 2. So with like clean buy side liquidity. Only thing that was a little bit standing in between was this pretty clean supply at the mid-range. But you see that price gave no fucks and just shoot through it. So missed long, but that's part of the game because we will miss hundreds and hundreds of trades. Right now, basically this is the flip zone, but I'm gonna mark it just as demand. So if we get a move into demand here, alert, gold is breaking higher, I think. And then an alert at the high and zooming out. Oh, damn. I was literally thinking that it was, we are still in this Model 2. So what we did here locally is literally the same as what we basically have here. Only now we have a range low demand open. But look at this, 1, 2, 3. Pretty good return to zone. It's almost the same as we did here. With 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, boom. So these are Wyckoff in Wyckoffs, which is a bullish sign. However, I really, really like this demand that we left behind in a range high. So hopefully this turns into a distribution to come back for demand and then has like an extended accumulation in which this is 1, these two merge, become 2, and that this is the 3. Now you have your 3-tap setup, super clean. I'm not sure if we will get it because it already looks pretty clean. Because we have an accumulation here, broke structure, and now we have a reaccumulation right here. So this is looking pretty strong as well. Quick look at. Welcome, Astali. Oh, let me hyped move beautifully. I was watching it, then went out and back. It already ran, yeah. Yeah, it's super clean price action. That's why it's one of the few alts I have in my watch list because it gives quite a lot of Wyckoff models and just overall clean models to trade. Just a bit unfortunate that we missed it, but let's now look at. Okay, so this is not a break. This is an SFP, which is technically bearish. Swing failure. So what this means is that you failed to break above, but it was 15-minute structure. Yeah, and technically that means that the low that brought you there is likely to be revisited based on market structure rules. So this is just super choppy price action, so I'm not really interested in jumping in between literally at the value area low and POC. So alert at this low, because this is likely to be taken out right now. And yeah, for BTC, same plan. Hype too late. And Sol and ETH are basically the same as BTC. So that is the plan for now. Does someone have any questions before I close this stream? Can be about a chart, can be about the stats if they are unclear. I will share the weekly overview for my make pairs. Oh, that's one thing I forgot. We have warning signs. So on all 4, we have P1 warning signs, which means that the, let's see, show it here. If we go to the weekly, then the weekly low has a super, super tiny wick to the downside, as you can see here. Super tiny. And if you look at the past week, for example, every candle has a pretty wick to the upside and downside. They all have. And right now we have a tiny wick to the upside and to the downside. And then it's pretty likely that we will make a new low late in the week based on statistics. So if we look at that for BTC, then we can see on the weekly warning 95% of the weekly lows have a bigger wick. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. That 95% of the weeks have a bigger wick, which means that there is a reason for price to maybe fill part of this wick, because we had this, like this wick is crazy, this weekly candle is crazy. But oftentimes price likes to fill those deep wicks, which we are doing now for 50%, only to come back lower again. So that's definitely a scenario to keep in mind. And also why my main expectation is to move here and then lower. But I now see that all pairs have the weekly warning signs, because ETH, Hype and Sol also have warnings with, let's quickly look what does ETH, for example. ETH 97.5%, so 98% of the bigger wick. So quite some high warning signs. Yeah, so this is no wick to the downside, almost no wick. So that's something to keep in mind. There's a reason for price to revisit the lows. So last week's 50% level is at, yeah, let's quickly look what it is. So you can basically look where the body closed till that high. Oh. And then just mark the 0.5. Then it's sitting at 70k. So a little higher, so around 70,000, which is the start of this supply zone as well. And near the value area high. So it's actually another confluence that we have weekly VWAP, we have supply with the value area high, we have the fib levels, we have the weekly wick warning on the downside. A lot of confluences. Yeah, so definitely interesting to watch. Then I think everything is clear. Just a little bit waiting for some more price action. Maybe something like that. That's my main expectation right now. First higher, then come down, and then maybe from here we can accumulate, in which this is our new range from low to that high that we're gonna form. So this, go a bit higher, form the high right there, come to the mid range, and then this is our new range to look with range high and range low. Right in the middle of our bigger range, which is the perfect fuckery level to chop up a lot of people. So our goal is to not be part of that group that gets chopped up in the middle before a good setup presents itself. Definitely strong zone IST also often fibs in important high time frame wicks. Yeah, klopt. Like high time frame, like another thing you can, like on high time frame they are super strong, but basically on every time frame where you have wicks, price will always like to fill them. Like even here with the wick, price come into it, sells off. Every deep wick you will find, price will eventually gravitate towards it to fill it. So also here with still a pretty deep wick, so I'm pretty sure that we sooner or later have to go to the lower part here. And if you look at it, like deep wicks, they get always taken. And it's also even on the, like here also, 50% wick fill, boom. It's also on the lower time frames, but high time frames easier to spot. But yeah, I think everything is clear, so I'm gonna close off the stream. I will still look in the chat as always and just wait for my alerts right now. And then I want to thank everyone for tuning in again. I love to see the same people jumping in and quite a lot of people looking at it. So that's a good sign, of course. Why you using that supply, not a 45-minute supply just below? Because first I had that lower one, but when scanning through the time frames, I found more confluences also with the fib. So we have the fib levels right there. We have the value area high of the range right there. So in my opinion, this block is more important. So I deleted the 45, but I still have it in my mind that we have this block here as well. But I think that if we come into here, then we will also take that. So maybe the better way is to keep it, but then make it lighter. So we should do that. Make this the lighter, so knowing that it is supplying. So if we get reactions there, it's still valid. But the one above is a lot more confluences and it's a lot stronger. It was also the value area high of this move down. So that's the reason. Yeah, exactly. It's 8 hours as well. So thanks everyone. thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a like if you did not yet. And then see you guys in the Discord. And tomorrow I will be streaming in the evening. So maybe that I will still stream for the premium as well. But the public one will be in the evening. So hope to see you guys tomorrow and in the Discord as well. Cheers and happy trading.